program tonight. My name is Kyle King, and welcome into episode 2 of the Kyle King Show. We're going to be talking about all things AEW last night, yet another great card that they put on. We're also going to talk about the ratings are in. How did they do? I'll give you a hint. They won. Also, I have a question for later on in the program. Are are MMA guys killing professional wrestling? We'll discuss that and more. But first, I want to get something off my chest. Before we go ahead and we jump in here, hello, Jeffrey Cross over on Twitch. How are you doing today? Welcome into the program. Before I jump into, just breaking down what happened last night on AEW, last night, the Elite proved, and without a shadow of a doubt, that they care more about others than themselves. Sure, I know Cody at the end of the night had the Elite out there helping out against the Inner Circle, but what I'm talking about is how AEW kicked off their evening with the Young Bucks and Private Party. I like how the announcers each time kept talking about how the Young Bucks were the number 1 seed and how the Young Bucks are heavily favored and how the Young Bucks are, this dominant tag team, all that good stuff. I love how they hyped them up. But you know what I loved even more than that? I love the fact that they lost. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of the Young Bucks. They're one of my favorite tag teams out there right now, so yes, it sucked seeing them lose. However, it was really cool seeing Private Party basically get that rub, basically get that launch to success. I love the fact that they were put over last night. Meanwhile, what has the Elite done? Adam Hangman Page lost to Chris Jericho for the AEW Championship. Kenny Omega, I think, has won once? Maybe twice. I don't think he's even won, besides SEMA, I don't think he's beaten anybody. So the Young Bucks lose last night as well. Granted, Cody's doing well, and Cody is going to be in the main event picture come Full Gear, which is great. He's probably the most over guy in that company as far as single stars go. But I love the fact that the Young Bucks lost last night, because all I kept hearing was, oh, this is just so the Young Bucks and their friends can get over. Oh, it's just so this way they can be stars. Well, guess what? They're putting other people over. I love that. What a great way, not only from a creative standpoint, I love it from a standpoint of, hey, if you come over here, you're not just going to job out to us. You're actually going to get a chance to succeed. You're going to get a chance to make a name for yourself. I think that's important, because what is the big knock on WWE? The big knock on WWE is, you're just going to get buried by creative. Now, you actually have a company that's going like, hi, we are creative and we don't mind taking a back seat because we're super popular as it is. Jeffrey Cross says, of course that was going to happen, because if it didn't, people would go apeshit. Yeah, exactly. It's the smart move. He also says, it was a given, in my opinion, that would happen. They had no choice, or people wouldn't watch because they would say it's all about them. You know what? I honestly didn't think they were going to lose to Private Party. I thought they were going to lose in this tournament, but I didn't think it was going to be to Private Party. I thought maybe it would be to like Luchasaurus, or I'm sorry, to Jurassic Express. Let me get their tag team name correctly. But I'm so glad it happened with Private Party. And look, Private Party is awesome. That was a hell of a way to kick off the night, in my opinion. So the Young Bucks sit there and do the job for Private Party. And here was the other thing. They didn't harp on it all night long. It's not like that dominated the rest of the evening. No, like the announcers kind of moved on and did their job. If that was Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, they would have had about 19 recaps before the end of the night. If that was Monday Night Raw, they would have recapped it on SmackDown, what happened. They would have recapped it on NXT, what happened, kind of like Roman Reigns almost getting murdered. But instead, They just moved on to something else. If they talked about it, it was either in passing and it wasn't that big a deal. So I like the fact that AEW is getting it right in that department. Don't sit there and act like you are going to be, the only game in town. I like that they're actually letting it breathe a little bit. They're actually letting guys get over. And you know what? Here's the other thing. For those of us who watch BTE, they put those guys on there as well to kind of grow their fan bases. They're not trying to be the end all in AEW, and I think that is an important thing. But let's go ahead and get into what we saw last night. Besides seeing that, we also hello, Truth and Loyalty. How are you? Glad you could join us here today on the program. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything you want me to touch on, by all means, please go ahead and drop a comment, and I will definitely go ahead and get to that. And also, make sure you stay tuned tonight. Okay, because as soon as I'm done here, 9 o'clock, my friends, Get the Tables, going to be doing their live stream as well. I know Tony will be there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Dave, because it's always Dave. But please make sure you tune in for Get the Tables once we are done over here. I'm also, not going to lie, keeping an eye on the Astros and Tampa Bay Rays game. But still, please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and leave them here, and I will get to them. Also, do me a favor, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Kyle King on Air, and then on Instagram as well at Kyle King on Air. So, last night on AEW, sure, we had the tag team match. We've already discussed that. We also had the Inner Circle. They have a name, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it. I like the stable, don't get me wrong. You guys know me, I'm a big faction guy. I love factions. In fact, I think everybody should be a part of a faction. The Inner Circle just does not sound like a cool name. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys enjoyed it. Maybe you liked it. I mean, hell, Chris Jericho immediately shut down Pro Wrestling Tees when he announced that. People went and bought the shirts like crazy. So you know what? I guess people enjoy it. I guess they do, and that's fine. That's great. I just think Inner Circle, kind of a stupid name. Jeff Cross says, oh, they will soon, especially now that Jericho has his own stable. Mr. WWE, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. NWA Power. I haven't gotten to NWA Power yet. I'm going to try my hardest to get to it as well. Here's the other thing. Haven't been watching WWE because apparently WWE went out of business on Sunday. I had no idea that they just shut down operations and just stopped existing. That's so amazing to me that after Sunday, that horrible finish ruined the company because I haven't been watching. I don't know. Maybe they're still around. Also, if you don't know, I'm kidding. You haven't seen this show or me on Spees and the Benchmark quite often. But I was so mad at that finish on Sunday, I couldn't watch Monday Night Raw. I didn't want to watch Monday Night Raw. I felt cheated. I felt upset, and that was my way. You know what? Just not going to do it. Mr. WWE says, oh, it's a terrible name, but since Jericho is saying it, it's cool. You know what? That's true. I mean, that does happen, doesn't it? Every now and then. Like sometimes there's a name or something that's just stupid, but because it's the person saying it, it is cool. Unless you're Roman Reigns, I don't think anybody can get over suffering succotash. So sorry, Roman, but I don't even think The Rock could get that one put over. Get the Tables is in here. Hello. As I said, guys, make sure you join Get the Tables at 9 right here on Twitch. I, of course, am their lead in. So anything that you hear from me that you want to bring up with them, go for it. But please go ahead and tune in. Jeff Cross says, that's because you're a AEW mark. I like the ending. It's part of a dark storyline. Well, okay, hold on. I like the match. Like, look, I saw a lot of people on there complaining about, like, oh, Rollins wasted the curb stomp. And yes, I will agree to an extent that, yeah, it was a little bit much, but I like that they kept the Fiend strong. Jeff, here's why I didn't like the finish. It has nothing to do with me being AEW, because, again, you know that I love wrestling. I want good wrestling no matter where I can get it. They gave a DQ in a Hell in a Cell match. How do you do that? How do you give a DQ in a Hell in a Cell or a referee stoppage? No, it's literally called Hell in a Cell. Okay, Mick Foley did not die on top of or at the bottom of a steel cage for these people to sit there and give a DQ. That's why I hated it. It had nothing to do with the dark storyline. I love a dark storyline. Okay, I enjoy it very much so. I did not enjoy the finish of that match because it made no sense whatsoever. Absolutely none. Let's see. Then we have Mr. WW saying, well, the ratings went down, but they went down because Hogan and Flair were the reason for last week's ratings going up. Hogan and Flair weren't on this show. Back-to-back years with a stoppage, I believe. Yes, it is back-to-back years, and it's stupid. It's ruined Hell in a Cell matches because apparently they just stop. There's no winner in them, so why even continue to have them? Mr. WWE getting to that. The reason why they were down this week is I honestly think a lot of people were pissed off at the finish. I mean, look, at the end of that show, you had the fans who were in attendance, who paid. Like, nobody's going to sit there and go, you're just an AEW mark. No, they literally paid their money. Those tickets aren't necessarily cheap. They paid to go and see the show. And at the end of it, they were chanting AEW and they were chanting refund. That's how pissed off people were. I was watching Twitter and watching everybody just melt down on Twitter. And yeah, people felt cheated. And I don't blame them for not watching. That's WWE's bad creative booking. Mr. WWE says, if I was in creative, I could fix that in the night. Have the ref say he felt Bray's pulse, thought he was dead, and then he popped up later in the night, do a firefly, making up... No. It should have had a conclusion. The match absolutely should have had a conclusion. If it took 1,000 curb stomps to beat Bray Wyatt, that's what they should have gone with. Okay, I can only speak for myself. I can't sit there and talk for anybody else but myself, but I would have been a little less pissed off had there been an actual finish. Now, I could have complained about how we got there, but at least there would have been a finish to it, okay? I'm tired of, 50-50 booking, let's nobody win, so that way both guys are strong. It's stupid. Jeff says WWE ref explained that. He did and he didn't. All he said was he had to look out for the well-being of the competitors. There was no, I called a DQ. There was no, I just put a stop to the match. Also, you don't give refs heat, okay? That's not what their job is. Their job is not to get heat. Name the last time that having a referee get involved with some shenanigans. I wish I had Spees' little... I wish I had Spees' drops here. So like the shenanigans. Name the last time some shenanigans went down where it was actually cool with a referee. It's not. It's stupid. Stop doing that. Don't put them in that position. Jeff Cross says, if someone wins, though, the storyline is over. No. Okay. Was the storyline over with Okada and Kenny Omega when Okada beat him? No. Was the storyline over with Mick Foley and Triple H? No. They still had stuff that they went through. Mick Foley still ended up at WrestleMania. Just because you lose doesn't mean the storyline has to be over whatsoever. Mr. WWE says, no, Meltzer explained that the reasons the ratings were even up last week was because, okay, first of all, you guys put too much stock into Meltzer. And everybody else, don't stop. It wasn't because of Hogan and Flair. Look, I watched that show religiously. I didn't watch it for that. Don't get me wrong. That was my favorite segment of the night. But I didn't sit there and go, oh my God, Hogan and Flair are going to be on? I've got to watch now. What are they going to do? All they were going to do was talk. They're not even going to wrestle. I don't know. I'm under the belief that people tune into a wrestling show for the wrestling. Not, Hogan and Flair announcing some Saudi Arabia Team Flair, Team Hogan nonsense. Mr. WWE says, I can go get the audio. Of what? What up, noob? Jeff Cross says they are making Rollins dark, hopefully. I don't know, hopefully. because Rollins is lame right now. Hashtag Seth Rollins is not cool, because he is not. Meltzer says, well, the numbers supported it. Okay, but you can't sit there and, like, you can say the numbers support. Who's to say that it wasn't because Rusev was going to be on the show? Mr. WWE again, viewers went up 500,000 when Hogan and Flair were on and went down like 400,000 this week. Again, because you had a shitty ending to your pay-per-view with the hottest wrestler in professional wrestling. Don't sit there and say, oh, it was because of Hogan and Flair, and then be like, oh, it's because they weren't on the show. No. Like, there was legit... Oh, not only that, because Friday night as well, they promised Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker were going to be on SmackDown, and they didn't show up. So you pissed off those fans. You pissed off the fans in LA. You pissed off the fans in Sacramento. WWE did not do a good job since Friday giving you a reason to watch on Monday Night Raw. So don't sit there and say, oh, it's because of Hogan and Flair weren't on there. If it was because of Hogan and Flair, they'd have brought Hogan and Flair back on the show. Okay? They messed up because they did a shitty ending to the pay-per-view. Plain and simple. Like, everybody agrees. Shitty ending. Horrible. Mr. WW says, I'm saying people will watch no matter how much shit. Like, how many shitty Monday Night Football games always happen, yet they keep pulling an 11 million rating. Okay, first of all, you were talking to somebody who does a Twitch show and a podcast, which comes out tomorrow, the Heel Turn Podcast. Please find us on iTunes, give us a 5-star review, and make sure you go ahead and subscribe to us. But you're talking to somebody who watches all of the wrestling because, one, I love it, and two, it's kind of my job to do it because my job pays me to do a podcast about it. I didn't watch because they pissed me off. So you are literally watching a show of somebody who went, yeah, I didn't watch because they pissed me off Sunday night. Look, I'm not saying there aren't people out there who aren't going to watch no matter what. I get that. I understand that. I'm just telling you, there's people like me out there who refuse to watch that garbage because we were pissed. Noob says, what are your thoughts on the Kabuki Warriors turn heel at Hell in a Cell this past Sunday, and why did WWE go with this direction for the Kabuki Warriors? Because they're not doing anything else? It's because they're kind of lame as baby faces, I guess? I mean, look, I know that there are those who enjoy the Kabuki Warriors. I like it. I like Kairi Sane, and I like Asuka, and I kind of like seeing a little bit of their heel personas. I like when performers have multiple sides to them. You know, I like when they can venture in and out of, am I good, am I bad, you know, whatever. Babyface, heel, I think that's why. You know, look, I didn't really care for the Kabuki Warriors. One, because I think I want Asuka to have a successful singles run, like she should. But again, that's just me. Overall, I'm not sure. Maybe it's that. Maybe people want to see them have an edge to them, or maybe Vince McMahon is just an asshole to Japanese people because Shinsuke's a heel too. I don't know. Maybe. Mr. AEW says it's fucked up that people wonder why Vince doesn't book them, but he finally lets them speak on Raw and get the what. The what chants have to go. The what chants have to leave. And again, if you're referring to the Kabuki Warriors finally speaking, I don't know. Again, I didn't watch Monday Night Raw this week because, well, they pissed me off on Sunday, like they did a lot of people. But if we want to talk about ratings really quick, the ratings came out yet again, obviously, because that's what they do. But AEW, for the second week in a row, defeated NXT in the ratings war. Again, I don't like looking at it as a war because, I don't know, I'm enjoying myself. I love Wednesday nights. I love turning off my phone and watching AEW and then watching NXT. So I'm not going to call it a war. I'm going to call it heaven. Okay, thank you, Mr. WWE. So they spoke in their native tongue, got what chance? Yeah, because the fans are stupid, and I hate that chant, and it's dumb. I don't know if NXT is going to have to switch it up. It was still a good show. I still really enjoyed NXT, okay? And yes, if my buddy Brian McDonald is watching, I know I said I wasn't supposed to, but I gave NXT a little bit of a shot because, well, I wanted to see Lio Rush and Drew Gulak tear the house down. But AEW wins for the second night in a row. Now, look, I know a lot of people are sitting there going like, well, they went from 1.4 to basically, just a little over 1 million. Okay, here's how things work. You never sit there and go, these are the ratings after a debut. You get more eyes on the product because everybody's curious to see what it'll do. Everybody makes it a point. Like, I made it a point to watch AEW. Like, be ready. I made sure that my daughter was fed. Now, again, I should do this because I'm a father anyway, and any father should do this, but I made sure that my daughter was fed. I made sure that she was bathed, and I made sure that she was ready to go to sleep all before, and I made sure that, like, I was ready all before AEW Dynamite came on. I made it a point to hustle and get that stuff done to watch. Last night, not so much. I started at about 7:30 my time, because again, it was the second week, okay? Other people do that as well. So you never sit there and take a debut and go, yep, these are the ratings. You always take the second week. That's the baseline. Okay, I think Ron Funches put that out there earlier on Spark to Death's tweet. You always take the second week and go, that's your baseline. Now, are we going to improve? Are we going to decrease? Where do we go from there? How do we make the adjustment to get past that? That's where the ratings count, okay? So now that we know where AEW's ratings are, next week will be the next week will be crucial to see where they're going, okay? I'm sure as long as they're still beating NXT, their fans will be happy, Tony Khan will be happy, TNT will be happy, but NXT has been going down week by week. Last week they were like 891,000. This week they were in the 700,000s. NXT keeps falling off. So yeah, I think NXT might need to do a little retooling, but not much. Okay, NXT's fine. Everything's fine. They're gonna be fine. Okay. Mr. WWE says they need more promos and storytelling. I do agree with you on that. One of the things I loved about NXT was they didn't have a lot of that, and now that they're going up against AEW, yeah, I agree. I think there needs to be a little bit more storytelling than inside the ring. I think they need to kind of set a little bit of that up. So I do agree with you on that one as well. Mr. WWE, I think NXT could have used a Jim Cornette, but in very small doses. No, they don't need Jim Cornette. Mauro, Nigel, and Beth are perfect. They're awesome. Well, okay, they're not perfect, but they are the best commentary in the major promotions. But they don't need Jim Cornette. Mainly because I don't think Vince McMahon and Jim Cornette can get along anymore. And I really don't think that Triple H would get along with Jim Cornette. Because here's the thing. Jim Cornette hates this style of wrestling. I know he fawns over NXT and all that, but he and Hunter ain't going to get along with the visions that they're going to have. So I don't think so. Mr. WWE says Batwoman got a 1.8 on its premiere, but we all know they ain't. Well, yeah, exactly. But again, that's a TV show. This is different. A lot of people said the MLB game was the reason for the decline. I'm saying it had a 50. You know what? It kind of did, because I had to go over to True TV and record it over there. Now, for some reason, it was still on TNT, but I got the alert that, hey, because of the Braves game, it's going to affect it, whatever it may be. I don't know, but who knows? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But again, next week is going to be crucial for AEW, because again, you now have your baseline of just over 1 million viewers. Let's see what happens. I know what you meant, Mr. WWE, about storylines, and I'm agreeing with you. I think they need small little storylines other than, I want that title, or Walter jumped me from behind. That's a little bit of a storyline, but I agree. I think NXT could use a little bit of storytelling outside of the ring. Again, they do a great job. Their performers do a great job telling a story inside of it. Let them tell it outside of it as well. And again, I really think that they can do that. They have really good coaches there. They have really, really good mentors as well. So, yeah, there's no reason to think that they shouldn't or couldn't. You know what I mean? So, I'm with you on that one. I would love to see a little bit more scripted storylines. But the end of the night, I felt good about AEW. Like, at the end of the night, I felt satisfied, Mr. WWE says, but it's proven by WWE when it's good, they can still pull a great rating up against Monday Night Football. So I imagine 200,000 viewers just aren't into AEW, and $200,000 watched a baseball game. Okay, I don't know where you're going with that, to be honest. I really don't. So we'll just go ahead and we will move on towards the end of the night, because again, you had this big brawl that broke out between the Inner Circle and the Elite. Fantastic storytelling yet again. You know, Jericho hopping on the mic at the end, getting mad at people. I always say, especially when it comes to like Monday Night Raw, especially when SmackDown was on Tuesdays, did Monday Night Raw make me want to tune in the next night? And AEW made me want to tune in next week to see what's going to happen. Here's where I think AEW also has a competitive advantage over WWE. There's only 2 hours of AEW on network TV. There's 7 hours of the WWE. Sometimes less is more. I don't know how many times I heard my father tell me that over the years, but it's true. Sometimes less is more. There have been times where something will happen on WWE and I didn't get a chance to watch Monday Night Raw. But guess what? On SmackDown, I know what happened because they play repackaged clip after clip after clip after clip after clip after clip. AEW, while they do have extra content, hello AEW Dark, hello Being the Elite, hello wrestlers ordering room service. But again, that's all stuff you can elect to go and watch. Granted, you can elect to watch all of these shows, even on network TV. However, you can elect to go to YouTube and search that out if you want on your time. That's free entertainment that they're giving you. I love the fact that they're 2 hours and I don't have all of these stupid recaps going on with AEW. They just go and do their show and make me want to watch next week. I love it. I wish WWE would take a page out of their book. NXT does a good job with that, where they're not really promoted on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, don't get me wrong, they run commercials for them, but they don't really sit there and go like, hey, here's what's going on with the NXT UK Championship. I think that's an appeal. And I think that's where AEW is winning a little bit. Noob says, looks like the Elite finally got their ultimate enemy, and that's 2 former WWE guys, 2 former Impact Wrestling guys, and a newcomer. I'm not so much focused on all of that, because I don't think they are as much either. Don't get me wrong, I know Jericho called out the We the People thing, which was fantastic. That is a great way to jump ahead of that and still keep that heel mentality and still set up Jake Hager. I loved it. Jericho is great at that. But I don't really care, like, oh, he came from Impact. You know, like, I don't care. But for those of you who do, I hope that's a cool thing. But yes, I love the fact that they finally have a foil. Like I was telling MDW on Twitter one time, BMAC and I last week did a draft, and we did our top 5 draft picks if we were building our rosters against one another. And I took the Elite, I took the Undisputed Era, all of them, and the OC, and MDW was sitting there going like, well, if you think it's a good idea to have those two, and I was like, yes, factions going against factions make things much better. The Nation of Domination was cooler because they had DX to go up against, you know. The Fabulous Freebirds had the Von Erichs. The NWO had the WCW until literally everybody became a member of the NWO. Like, I think Judy Bagwell was a member of the NWO before she got put on the forklift at one point. I don't know. Mr. WW says, imagine how many people watch all the fucking hours of wrestling that is produced each and every week. Yeah, it gets to be a lot. But, you know, that's Dave Meltzer for you. And again, you guys put so much stock into what those guys say, and I don't know, it's all too much. MDW here, my problem is they're both heels, and it just seems weird in heel factions versus heel factions hasn't been done good in a while. Yeah, but that's not to say they can't be good. It absolutely can be good. Just have to let it happen. Right now, Inner Circle versus the Elite, it is good. Let's see where they go with it. Look, just because WWE is dropping the ball doesn't mean they can't. I mean, again, Undisputed Era or the OC very easily could have gone heel, but again, or gone babyface. But again, we're talking about a hypothetical situation. But factions going up against factions make things better. That's why there's Chaos and Bullet Club and LIJ, and I'm sure there's another one over in New Japan. Okay? Like, factions going up against one another is awesome. Sure, WWE has gone away from it. They haven't, I will agree with you on that, yeah, they haven't been good in a while, but I don't know. The New Day seems to be doing fine. The OC, kind of doing okay. Undisputed Era is on a fucking roll right now. I would love to see Undisputed Era versus the OC. Are you kidding me? I don't even care if they were both heel factions. Look, you can watch two heels go up against one another. I mean, look, you watch the show Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy and the Mayans are both heels. Like, I know you're supposed to be rooting for the Sons of Anarchy, but let's look at it. They're both heels. But that was a popular-ass show. WWE says, I'm starting to question if Gallows and Anderson are the top-tier talents everyone say they are. They're good, but, again, I enjoy them. I think they are. I think they've been mismanaged a little bit. WWE sucks with tag teams. Vince McMahon hates tag team wrestling. Triple H loves it. That's why NXT's tag team division thrives. And SmackDown and Raw's tag teams, for the most part, suck. I mean, you have the Usos, you have the New Day, you have the Revival to an extent. But, other than that, WWE says, would you agree that Jericho does to the AE roster what Stone Cold does to the current WWE roster every time he comes back? Make them look like shit comparably. No, not at all. Not whatsoever. I think Jericho knows his role in the company, and he does it well. He is there to be that bravado guy of like, hey, this is all because of me. So that way, when he gets defeated, you're going to want that. So yeah, no, I don't think so at all, because if we're really looking at it, there's tons of guys way better athletically than Jericho. Jericho's just all around great. Noob says, since Becky don't have any opponents left, it seems that Asuka is the only one left standing against Becky. And with the draft, we might see Becky drop the Raw Women's title if Becky gets drafted to SmackDown. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. And I am also not a fan of Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch is kind of played out and, meh, if I'm being honest. Doesn't do much for me. And on AEW Dynamite, not going to lie, the women's tag match, besides Britt Baker and Bea Priestley, didn't do much for me. What's up, Heather? How are you? Welcome in. I love Britt Baker and Bea Priestley going after one another. I think that is going to be an awesome storyline down the line. I think that's going to be really cool. I love that the Young Bucks have come out and said that they're going to focus on long-term booking. So I would love to see Bea and Britt kind of be the thorns in each other's sides, especially when they're going to become women's champion at some point. So I would love to see that rivalry play out over the years. And you know what? Maybe even have them team up at some point. I don't know. I think it would be really cool. And I will say this, Bea and Britt Baker, to me, better than Becky and Sasha. I know. I'll let you guys freak out in the comments, but I'm just saying. WWE says, I will say this has not been women's wrestling year. I just want my Sadie Gibbs on AEW. Oh, hey Heather. Okay, you're on this one. Rebby Fan is your other account. Well, hello. But look, you know what? I don't want to sit there and harp on the women's divisions too much because, again, I'm not their target audience. Don't get me wrong. I love wrestling, but not so much a fan of just women's wrestling in general. I think it's slower. I'm sorry. If that makes me a chauvinist, oh darn, but it shouldn't, because again, I think it's fine. It's just not my favorite thing. And plus, I lack the wrong plumbing to really sit there and comment on women's wrestling. That's why, once I get the phone line and everything up, Heather will be our women's wrestling correspondent. Now, granted, she's going to give us all of the Bayley news because she's a huge Bayley fan, but I will have her be the women's wrestling correspondent, and I'll let her come on here for a weekly segment, and she can fill us in on all the things women's wrestling and why I'm stupid and I should love watching women's wrestling. So once I get the phone line and everything set up, Heather, you've got a segment on the show each and every week, okay? Now, finally, here's what I want to get to before I get out of here, because again, I am watching the Astros game 4-1 right now, so thank goodness. Yeah, that's right. Stros are currently winning, and hopefully we can hold off and win this, because again, I don't want to end up like the Dodgers, because I was talking a lot of shit about the Dodgers losing earlier today. Really quick, Mr. WWE says, lately it's been feeling like something everyone's been doing to seem progressive, not because they put on better matches than the top men or top mid-card men. Look, women are wrestling fans too, man. I totally understand it, okay? Like, be progressive. That's fine. Absolutely okay. I have been blessed with so much, wrestling from popular male stars over the years that I can sit there and take a few years of the women being the main draw. Go for it. There's women wrestling fans too. My daughter, I hope, becomes a wrestling fan as well. So you know what? I'm good with it. Let them be progressive. I think it's great. And again, there's so much wrestling out there. It's okay. Get the Table says, fuck the Dodgers. Absolutely. Fuck the Dodgers. They suck. And they're going to be watching the playoffs from home, which is good. And my final point before I get out of here tonight, and again, make sure you stay here on Twitch. Don't go anywhere, because at 9 o'clock, my friends Get the Table's going to be going live as well. Tony and Dave will take you guys for the rest of the night as I lead into their show. Very happy that they're here joining me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But please stay tuned for those guys coming up at 9 o'clock immediately after the Kyle King show. Here's my question. Are MMA people, because I said guys, but let's be real, are MMA fighters ruining wrestling? Because I think they might be. Jake Hager returns, and he's being built up as this MMA guy when it's like, dude, that's Jack Swagger. We know who he is. Raise your hand if you've seen a Jake Hager MMA fight, okay? And I'll go ahead and I'll wait, okay? I understand Brock Lesnar being one thing. Brock Lesnar was the first guy to go and do it, and being the first one to really go and do it. Now, granted, I know Ken Shamrock, Dan the Beast Severn, but they kind of sucked anyway. Brock Lesnar's a legit badass, okay? Brock Lesnar going over and doing that was awesome. Coming back, cool. It established him as credibility. They did a good job doing that, okay? I know Riddle is one, and Matt Riddle is my spirit animal, but here's the thing. Now, you've got Brock Lesnar, apparently Cain fucking Velasquez, okay? Jake Hager, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, the other two horsewomen from the MMA. I'm sorry, I can never remember their names because I feel like they're never on NXT ever at all. Bobby Lashley even went and did that. Batista at one point went and did it as well. But you have all these people going like, well, you know what? I'll just go do MMA for a while, and then I'll come back and I'll be this badass. MMA guys. Oh, and then you always get like, oh, will Conor McGregor come and show up? Will Chael Sonnen show up? I've even heard people asking if John Bones Jones will eventually end up there. Daniel Cormier might end up there. I'm tired of these MMA people getting at the end of their career and going like, you know what? I can't really beat people up in an octagon, so I'll just go be a badass and bury all of the talent in professional wrestling, okay? I think it's becoming a problem. I don't think they've killed it, obviously, because look, Brock Lesnar's your champion again, and I hate to say this, but I'm enjoying Brock Lesnar just beating the crap out of people. Like, I don't care if he just shows up and just suplexes the shit out of people for 5 minutes. I don't need him to talk. I don't need Paul Heyman promos. I want Paul Heyman promos, but I don't need them. Let Brock be a beast. But like Cain Velasquez coming over and jumping the line in front of everybody, like don't get me wrong, I watched Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the heavyweight title in the UFC. I don't want to see Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar in the rematch in WWE. I don't care. I just don't. Cain Velasquez is taking away a storyline from somebody just because he beat Brock Lesnar in the UFC. But WWE is sitting there going like, oh, this is going to happen. I don't know. I just don't like it. I like the way Matt Riddle went about it. Of like, you know what? I can't pass a drug test in the UFC. I'll quit that and I'll go to the WWE where hopefully they'll not drug test me. Wink, wink. Let's catch up on some of the comments. WWE says Ronda's hurting women's wrestling. In the same breath, she saves it. For the 3 following months she had left, it was clear the women's division was hurt without her. I also think that finish was kind of screwy. We've never really gotten a payoff to that finish, but she's also on her way to try and get pregnant, so that's why she's been out. I also just think the women's division, besides Charlotte and Becky, has just sucked because they haven't built anybody else up. Like Naomi's not there anymore. Carmella's running around with the 24/7 championship. Sonya Deville's an MMA person. Okay, Mandy Rose as well. Then they decided like they wanted to go ahead and get tag team divisions when they haven't really established suitable stars in singles competition. They just kind of mismanaged it. It's not a matter of the stars aren't there, because I think they are. It's more a matter of WWE just bungled it, if I'm being honest. WWE says, I heard rumors that Riddle is being called up. Okay, I hope so. Hold on. Brock will let someone he likes respect go over him. Maybe. Who knows? Braun needs a title run. Yeah, I wish. Sorry, my dog just ran in here. Sadie just ran in here and decided to throw up on my carpet. My rug. So, thanks. I really appreciate that. That's just exactly what this show needed, was you distracting me by hurling. So, thank you, Sadie. Good God. WWE wants a Brock and Ricochet storyline. Do you want Ricochet to get murdered? Because that's how Ricochet gets murdered. You know what I mean? Now, I wish they would. I think you have a point. Bryan and Finn had good matches with them, but I don't know. Oh, you do want to see him get murdered. Okay, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. Sonya needs a singles run. Yes, I agree. I like Sonya Deville. I think she's pretty badass, if I'm being honest. But I'm just tired of MMA guys coming in at the end of their career and just being like, you know what, I'm going to go take the spot of somebody that I enjoy. And you know what, that's WWE's fault. Like, look, I love, as I was saying previously, I love how Riddle went about it. Riddle couldn't pass a drug test and decided, I'll just go to WWE. But, well, actually, he didn't even do that. He wrestled on the indies for a long time. He went through Evolve, got into Catch Point, all that good stuff. Like, Riddle worked his way up to get there. So I respect that. Like, I respect the guy who can go ahead and do that of like, okay, I'll start off, I'll pay my dues. Like, he toured the indie scene for a little bit. He didn't just automatically jump to NXT or the WWE. Those are the problems I have, are the ones that sit there and go like, you know what? I'm Daniel Cormier. I'm just going to go into the WWE and I'm going to get a massive payday. And you know what? Finn Balor, screw you. I'm taking your spot. Hey, I'm Conor McGregor, and I'm no longer drawing like I used to, so I'll take a huge payday, and guess what? Sorry, Ricochet. Sucks for you, but I'm Conor McGregor, and if I'm being honest, I'm a Conor McGregor mark myself. I would watch the shit out of that, but I'm getting tired of it. Okay, it's like, okay, now I watch a UFC pay-per-view, and I see the guys who lose, and I'm like, okay, how long until they're in a WWE ring? You know? How long until they're taking the spot of somebody else? And look, I know you can sit there and say, well, if those guys were over, well, then, it wouldn't really matter. And I agree, but WWE as of late hasn't really been letting people get over. I hope things change. They say that they're changing. Who knows? WWE says, I want Brock and, oh, I'm sorry, Rebby, Heather says, I want Brock and Alistair match. Hell yeah. Brock and Alistair would be pretty cool. I would enjoy that match. I would love to see, there's a whole bunch of people I would love to see Brock Lesnar take on, but we all know that if you're going up against the Beast and your name isn't Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, you're going to get squashed. WWE says, well, UFC don't got a lot of guys that have crossover appeal. Most of their stars are gone. I think UFC is actually rebuilding a lot of their stars. Who's the one guy? God, I watched a guy the other day who came out. He did like a whole dance on his way into the ring. It was very Mayhem Miller-like, except he also went out and like beat the shit out of somebody. UFC is never far away from getting stars. Derek Lewis has a hell of a... I'm also biased with Derek Lewis because I went to high school with Derek Lewis and his brother. Like, Derek Lewis was like a grade older, was a grade above me, and his brother was 2 grades below me. He went to school with my brother. Khabib is a star. That's right, WWE. Khabib is a star, but he's also an asshole. Nick Diaz is a star, and he's also an asshole. Nick Diaz would actually do... Both the Diaz brothers would do really well over in the WWE, but Alistair versus Brock has me intrigued. Oh, before I get out of here, let me ask you guys this. So apparently tomorrow night, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, winner earns the #1 draft pick for their brand. So here's my question. After this match, let's say Rollins and Reigns have this match, and let's just say LOL Roman Reigns wins because LOL Roman Reigns wins. Does Roman Reigns then stay with SmackDown? Is he like a team captain? Or can he get drafted? Or like would SmackDown literally have to sit there and go, with our #1 pick, we take the guy who just won? I don't know how that is going to work out. WWE says winning and being the #1 pick on SmackDown. Oh yeah, Roman's winning that. SmackDown's getting the #1 pick. I'm going for Seth too, but Roman is going over because the WWE wants SmackDown to prevail and they want SmackDown to do well. I mean, shit, Fox gave them $1 billion for it. So I hope that Roman Reigns wins for WWE's sake. They cannot piss off Fox right now. They just don't have the ability. Like they don't have the leeway to piss off Fox. So Roman Reigns is winning that. But that's my question. Is he a team captain for this? You know what I would love to see? I would love to see, let's go ahead, one more match. Ric Flair for Monday Night Raw, Hulk Hogan for SmackDown. Have them fight it out, okay? Then there will be a big, huge rating pop, and Mr. WWE will come in here and basically tell me how it was all because of Flair and Hogan having one last match, and they were the saviors for SmackDown's ratings. So I think that would appease everybody in that situation, is having them fight it out. And because nobody's going to draft them afterwards, because both men will probably, well, they'll probably be, laid up in a hospital recovering. So let's do that. I think we can all agree. Let's have a stopping point right there. That's what we'll do. We'll have Flair versus Hogan, and Flair will represent Raw. Hogan will represent SmackDown. They'll have a match. Hogan gets his one last match. He doesn't have to fight Vince. And boom, like I said, Mr. WWE can come tell me next Thursday night that Flair and Hogan were the reason for the rating success on SmackDown. But yes, other than that, guys, thank you so much for being here. I definitely appreciate it. Remember, we do this show every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. here on Twitch. So tell your friends, tell your family, have them come on over and give me a follow as well. So you can do that and interact with me all week long right here. Okay? Boom. Right here. At Kyle King on Air on Twitter. Go to my Instagram, at Kyle King on Air. I'm on the radio here in Houston, so I post a lot of videos when I'm on the radio. Also, you can see my adorable daughter from time to time. She got a Cookie Monster outfit for Halloween. So that's what she is going to be. And I'm going to go as Big Bird. My wife is going to be, I think my wife's either going to be Elmo or Oscar the Grouch. Not exactly sure, but thank you guys so much for being here. Always appreciate the love and the support. Go and follow me on those. And you know what? Stick around here because Get the Tables is coming up next over on their channel. Thanks for being here. Love you guys. Too sweet me, bro. See you guys later.